Alright, another Thursday has come upon us. You know what comes out on Thursdays? Football happens on Thursdays and Sundays and Mondays. And so today I'm going to do my predictions for week 2 of the NFL. Week 1, I did okay. I didn't do the best. But week 2 is going to be much better because not only do we have stuff to go by that's not just preseason and what we've seen before, we actually got what teams look like this year. And so this video is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a while because there's still a lot of games. So let's get started right off the bat and make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Comment down below, what are your predictions for week 2 of the NFL? Who surprised you the most in week 1? I really want to know. There was a lot of surprising games, and personally for me, the Dolphins game was awesome because I had Tyreek Hill playing. He got me 50 points, and the Cowboys game was often awesome because I got 40 points from their defense. In fantasy football, I absolutely smothered my opponent. But anyways, who was the most surprising person for you? With that said, the Vikings and the Eagles for Thursday Night Football. And the Vikings did not look great against the Buccaneers. So they lost against the Buccaneers. The whole first quarter was basically just fumble and interception. I think there was like 2 or 3 turnovers in that first quarter, and that's not something you really want to have for your team. You turn the ball over, and that's really what the death of the Vikings were. They could not protect this ball. The Eagles, however, did also not look the greatest. They did look great at the beginning, but then they kind of slowed down and allowed New England to get caught up, and you genuinely thought New England had a chance of winning. But neither team looked great in week 1, but it's only week 1, and both teams I really do hope have potential to get better. I'm going with the Eagles to beat the Vikings just based off what we've seen, because Vikings did not look like the best team, and the Eagles, even though they didn't look the best, they're still the Philadelphia Eagles. I put them down and out in the count. Like, that's just something you cannot do. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They're a great team. And so, even though they didn't look the best, I'm still picking them to be 2-0 and the Vikings to be 0-2. Packers and Falcons. This is going to be a very interesting game because both teams, I think, looked absolutely great. The Falcons were a great football team. They played the Panthers. That might be a reason why I picked the other team to win this one. The Packers, I do think, are going to win. But the Falcons played the Panthers. But, like, their offense and defense looked pretty good. Especially Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, the rookie running back, did absolutely great in this game. He's a really good running back that really stood out to me in the way that he played football this week. The Packers, however, they have Jordan Love, who nobody would have thought would be this good. They were playing the Bears. That's my only, real concern with how they won, that it was against the Bears. Bears aren't that hard to beat, And so, obviously the Packers could win, but everybody was taking the Packers out for the count. They lost Aaron Rodgers. So did the Jets, apparently. The Packers also looked quite good. And I will take into account that they played the Bears. But as of right now, I'm going to the Packers to beat the Falcons because the Packers, both teams didn't play good teams, and they looked absolutely great. Each one of these teams looked absolutely great in week 1. So I don't know if it's just because they were playing bad teams or because they actually are going to be good teams. I hope it's going to be because they're good teams, because the Packers, I think, are going to beat the Falcons, but both teams, I hope this will be a great game. It will be a great game. The Colts and the Houston Texans, the Colts are going to win this one. I am almost positive of it. Anthony Richardson did great in week 1. I think he threw maybe 1 interception maybe, and against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which Jacksonville won because Jacksonville is a good team. They're a great up-and-coming team that I think are going to do really great. But Anthony Richardson, for an opening day, had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. That is just really good. He kept up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, proving that Anthony Richardson is definitely the best rookie QB in the league right now. I'm almost guaranteed of it. And he's playing another one, C.J. Stroud, who had trouble getting Houston's offense going against the Baltimore Ravens. And so I don't know, again, if it's because their matchup in the first week that the Colts and the Jags never really were the greatest team, but because I believe that the Jags are going to be a great team this year, and the Ravens are not. I think that the Texans are definitely a weak team, and I don't really think C.J. Stroud's picking their problems. So I'm going Colts over Houston. I really like Anthony Richardson. I think he's doing great. Seahawks and Lions. Now, the Lions are the most surprising team of the year because they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1. I'm not too happy about it. Don't talk to me. Anyways, they're playing the Seahawks this week, and the Seahawks did not look great. Obviously, I said in a recent video that the Rams are going to be good, and I was right. And I don't know if that's just because the Seahawks are not good or if because the Rams are becoming really good, but the Seahawks did not look that good in Week 1. They only had 1 touchdown, while the Lions, their offense had trouble getting going, mainly because of the Chiefs' defense, but they still beat the Chiefs. Like, that's hard to do, even without Travis Kelce. And I think people's best argument for this one, especially Chiefs fans like me, are, oh, we didn't have Travis Kelce, but you really can't blame what we've done. We did not play our best football. Lions played great football that game, I think. And so I don't see a reason why the Lions would let up. Lions are going to be 2-0, and the Seahawks are going to be 0-2 because the Seahawks did not look that great. Titans, the next game on this list. Chargers and Dolphins was the game of the week. It was a great game, great scoring game. Chargers were in control of that the whole time until the very end, where Dolphins just started pulling up Madden numbers with Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa. And so the Chargers and Titans lost against the Saints. Thank goodness. I bet on the Titans last week, but I'm also really glad that they lost. And so the Chargers are looking like a great team, while the Titans look terrible. Their defense did not do much better. And so I'm going the Chargers all the way on this matchup with the Titans. Again, maybe it's because I'm biased, but I also feel like the Chargers are going to be a great team this year. All right, Raiders and Bills. And this is another surprising one because the Bills are another team that looked, I think, absolutely terrible on Monday Night Football, which sucks because I was playing Josh Allen. It doesn't matter. I already won by that point, but Josh Allen did not do good. And so he threw 3 picks to the same guy. They lost because of a punt return. It's just, the Bills looked like a hot mess on Monday night. Like, they lost to an Aaron Rodgers-less Jets. Aaron Rodgers got injured for the season, and they had to play Zach freaking Wilson. And so, obviously, I think I would go for the Raiders on this one. They won. They still got Jimmy G as quarterback, not the greatest, but they also got Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, a defense that's pretty good. They almost lost to the Broncos, but the Broncos are like, I don't feel like this year they're doing as bad as they did last year. And so the Raiders did win. But if the Bills can lose to an Aaron Rodgers-less Jets, I feel like the Raiders are going to... Minus the fact that always the Bills and the Bengals always start out weak, and then they always, into the middle of the season, start out strong and get the big win. So I think I'm going to stick with the Raiders, but it would not surprise me if the Bills came out on top. Chiefs and Jags. This one's going to hurt my heart. Like, it's going to hurt because I feel like the Jags are going to be 2-0 and my Kansas City Chiefs are going to be 0-2. If that does happen, I will probably start punching a hole in my wall. But it's the Chiefs and Jaguars, and the Jags looked like a pretty great team against Indianapolis. It was a close game, and they just came out on top on every aspect, I think, and looked like a great team. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, wide receivers could not catch a ball. Like, it would be right to him, and Kadarius Toney would just let it slip through his hands. Like, everybody has bad games, I get it. But until we see more, and until we see more of the Chiefs actually being good, I'm incredibly nervous for them, and I do not think that they could beat Jacksonville at this point. I feel like they needed a lot of work on this game. Their defense looks great. That's the only main factor. And if they have Kelce, that'd be good. But we actually need some wide receivers. We're getting rid of every good wide receiver that we're doing. I don't know what Andy Reid's doing. But if we can't have the best quarterback of all time if we can't have wide receivers that catch. So I'm going Jacksonville, but I'm really hoping that I'm wrong because I'm a diehard Chiefs fan. Ravens and Bengals. Now, Bengals are the worst team in the NFL right now. They only got 3, well, scratch that. The Giants are the worst team in the NFL right now. Then the Bengals, second worst team in the NFL right now. Joe Burrow did his famous, oh, it's the beginning of the season, I'm just going to do crap. He does this every year. And I called it. I knew the Browns would win and take advantage of this because the Bengals offense did not look good at all. The defense looked solid, but they barely could get a first down. They got a field goal because they put in their backup quarterback. They put in their backup quarterback to take Joe Burrow out because that's just how bad he was playing. It's not even just him, it's the rest of the team. The whole team was playing absolutely abysmally, and the game was horrible to watch. The players were getting bored on the sidelines. Like, it was just terrible. Terrible week 1 start. And I'm not surprised because the Bengals do this all the time. But, I mean, the Ravens, however, they didn't look the greatest. Lamar didn't even get a touchdown throw. But they also did beat the Texans. And I know it's the Texans, but I'm still going with the Ravens to win this one. I think that the Ravens are solid enough. They're not the best team. I still don't think Lamar's a good quarterback. But they're still a good team, and I'd still go with them over the Bengals. Definitely because it's just the Bengals. The Buccaneers beat the Vikings, and the Bears lost to the Packers. And so, based off what we've seen so far, I do like what the Buccaneers have done. I think that their offense is pretty good. Baker Mayfield is solid enough. Their defense is also solid enough. He's not no Tom Brady, but I think that this is a solid enough Buccaneers squad. While the Bears, I thought were going to be a great team this year, they're really proving me wrong. Justin Fields throws dots to the other defenders, right to Quay Walker for a pick 6. He just did not utilize his targets well at all. Buccaneers to beat my Minnesota Vikings, it's just kind of sad because, like, there's no way that I think that the Bears are going to beat Buccaneers. I think that Baker Mayfield and the Bucs are going to be 2-0, which is crazy to think about because it's the Buccaneers without Tom Brady. And so I think that they're going to have a really solid start with Baker Mayfield. Maybe it's because they're playing the Vikings and the Bears, but I do think that they're going to start off 2-0 and the Bears are going to start off 0-2. The Niners and the Rams, what a great weekend game because the Niners absolutely annihilated the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the Rams, I think, absolutely annihilated the Seattle Seahawks. So these are two teams in this NFC division that I think are going to do absolutely phenomenal, and they're already doing absolutely phenomenal. And so I'm just very excited to see where either of these players or either of these teams go the rest of the season. For now, I'm going to go Niners. I don't want to take Rams out of the count. I think Rams are going to be good this year. But it is the Niners, and the Niners are great. Brock Purdy looked great. Christian McCaffrey looked great. Deebo Samuel looked okay. Brandon Ayuk looked fantastic. And so these are just a couple players, a couple teams, again, that are doing absolutely phenomenal this year, and I think are going to be two really good NFC contenders. But right now I'm going with the San Fran 49ers. The Giants and the Cardinals. The Cardinals almost beat the Commanders, but the Giants, we all know how that ends on Sunday Night Football. The Cowboys killed them. They're dead. Their gravestone is right over there. They're absolutely killed. It wasn't even close. And so the Cardinals, I'm going to go with this one. Cardinals are a team that I like only because my family's from Arizona, but they're genuinely not a good team whatsoever. They're actually terrible. And so they're playing the Giants, who also look terrible. But I feel like the Giants, what I said about the Giants is going to turn out not to be true. Giants are going to be a powerhouse of a team because they got Daniel Jones, Saquon, and a good defense. But they really will not if they continue playing how they did. It's going to be a bust of a season for them, I think. So I'm going Cardinals over the Giants. But if the Giants win, I really would not be complaining because I do want to see the Giants be good. It really hurt my heart watching that game because I do feel like the Giants have potential, and then they just go out and get annihilated by the Cowboys. Speaking of the Cowboys, they're playing the Jets this week, and the Jets lost Aaron Rodgers. First 4 plays, he's injured. He's out for the season. So they had Zach Wilson as quarterback. And here's part of the problem. They never really let Zach Wilson throw. Even in that game, we were screaming at the TV, like, let him throw. Like, all they did was hand it off to Breece Hall, which got Breece Hall major fantasy points, and Breece Hall being absolutely great. But it was against Breece Hall and the Bills. Like, he wouldn't pass it. And now they're playing the Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wilson against the Dallas Cowboys, they're playing powerhouse teams right off the gate. And so they beat the Bills barely. I feel like the Cowboys are going to win this one. They annihilated New York Giants. They look like a fantastic team that I do not feel like are going to be bad at all. This was a fantastic game that they played. Their defense did great. Their offense did great. Well, their defense did great. Their offense did okay. But every aspect of the Cowboys were better than the Jets. And even though the Jets did beat the Bills, they still don't have an elite quarterback or an elite defense. I feel like they're going to lose against the Cowboys in this one. The Commanders and the Broncos. Now, the Commanders and the Cardinals, that was a close game. Way too close for playing the Cardinals. While the Broncos and the Raiders, that was a close game. I feel like the Broncos did good enough. And so, surprisingly, even though I think that the Broncos suck and that Sean Payton will not be a fantastic coach for this team, for some reason, based off week 1, I'm going to go Denver Broncos on this one. Normally, I would pick the Commanders. I think the Commanders have more of a powerhouse team. But the Denver Broncos looked pretty good. Russell Wilson didn't do abysmal. His wide receivers got touchdowns. The team actually looked like a pretty solid team against the Raiders. And maybe it's because they're off the gate playing bad teams. But I don't know. They looked like a really solid team. And I think I'm going to go Broncos. Broncos aren't going to do much this year. But I would go Broncos as our final afternoon game. Now it's on to the last couple of primetime games. We got the Dolphins and the Patriots. And because I'm not playing Josh Allen in fantasy football, I'm playing Tua Tagovailoa, who I traded earlier this week. Maybe got rid of Stephon Diggs. What an idiot. Anyways, the Dolphins and the Patriots. Patriots looked good to start off the game, but they soon came back in and I think almost could have won. They had a big chance to win. They blew it at the very end. But then the Dolphins looked absolutely great, putting up Madden numbers and throwing long bombs. And I feel like the Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy this year, are going to be a true contender of a squad. I feel like the Dolphins are going to be maybe one of the best teams in the league this year. Well, the Patriots, I feel like they'll be okay. They won't be great, but they might get a couple wins. But starting off against the Eagles, there was a loss. And so the Patriots, I feel like, are going to lose against the Dolphins, especially because the Dolphins will probably get an early lead. Then the defense will kick in, catch them up, and then the offense can't stay on track. That's exactly what happened Sunday. And if that keeps happening, I mean, specifically, they're playing, I think, top 5 offense right now. And so it's going to be a rough game. But I'm excited because I got Tua Tagovailoa, and I hope he throws bombs to also who I have, Tyreek Hill. 2 Monday night games this week. We got the Saints and the Panthers. The Panthers lost against the, who did they play again? Hold on a minute. I know this, guys. No. What am I doing with my life? Like, did I just say Falcons? There we go. They played the Falcons, and they lost against the Falcons, who looked like a solid team. This team looked solid enough as well. The Panthers looked solid enough, I think. But the Saints also won against the Titans, and they didn't look great, but they still won against the Titans. This was a solid enough offense. Derek Carr led them to a victory. There were some rough moments, but they still won the game. And then there was the Panthers who, like I said, lost against the Falcons, who looked great. So who's going to win this one? I feel like that the Saints are going to be a solid team to beat the Panthers again. I feel like the Saints will be this one team I feel like to be reckoned with, honestly. I feel like they could get a bunch of dubs this year because of Derek Carr. Don't matter how nasty the game looks, I feel like they could get a bunch of dubs because the Panthers, I don't feel like Breece Hall. I don't feel like Bryce is going to be a great QB for them in his year 1. And so the Panthers, I feel like they're playing the Saints, and I feel like they're going to be 0-2. Still think they're going to be a solid team, but I'm still going with the Saints. Last game, Browns and Steelers. Steelers got annihilated, like killed, dead, out of the water, killed by the San Francisco 49ers. While the Cleveland Browns killed, blown out of the water, annihilated, murdered, killed the Cincinnati Bengals. Because their defense held up. Their offense didn't look the best, especially because one throw that looked like a 3-year-old threw it. But then the Browns still beat the Bengals, and the Steelers still lost to the Niners. So I think, obviously, I'd have to go with the Browns. I feel like the Browns are going to be a solid enough team this year. Maybe not the best, but they're going to be solid, while the Steelers still looked like they did last year. Not a great team with Kenny Pickett and all them. They got annihilated by the 49ers, and that's tough because it was the 49ers. But I still hope they will play. I still hope they'll play good football against the Browns. This is going to be a close game, but I'm going with the Browns on this one. What are your predictions? I want to know all that and more. What's your record from last week? I want to know all that and more as well. This has been a great video. I'll be back for week 3. Stay tuned for more videos on more ZMC. Also, go subscribe to my main channel, Zachary Movie Chat. And with that said, Thank you all so much for clicking on this video, and with that said, subscribe, join the Nerd Army.